So hello and welcome to Donny Chaingang with me, Matt Payne. We're live from the Full Speed Events studio number 1 down in the old beer cellars, and we're on the Donny Chaingang once again. We've had two cracking rides this week. The first Chaingang, well, it had one of the best sprint finishes I think we've ever seen on the Donny Chaingang, and that says a lot. Just absolutely astounding. Make sure you go back, watch it. It's there on all of the YouTube feeds as well as on the Facebook page. We then yesterday had an absolutely stunning WoW DCG, the Women Only Wednesdays, and another great finish, this time a solo victory by Izzy Torrey going over the top, and great ride by her to take the win. Now, today is, of course, Open Thursday. That means that we have all of our riders going to be coming and joining us. And joining us once again in the studios, it is the one and only Emma Martin.
Good evening. Lovely to be with you on a Thursday.
It is. It's a slightly different day to be in the studios, but it is a Thursday. It's a full-on open Chaingang, but we are on a course that you know very well indeed.
Yes, so we've used Climbers Gambit on the WoW DCG before, but also it has been a course on the ZRL, so I've raced it too.
So it's going to be interesting. Now we'll get some insights on the way through as we go into that. And just dialing back to the previous rides we've seen, we had a great ride on the Tuesday, another one yesterday. Same again coming up today, but they've been very different courses, haven't they? I mean, we've had a very flat course going around the wasteland. We then went over to Mercurianas to the Two Island, which is a little bit hilly, but this is a bit of a beast. And it's that variety that makes a difference, isn't it?
Yeah, and this course tonight was put together for that variety specifically. It was released in August 2021 for the Zwift Academy that year, deliberately because of the variety it gave. You know, it gives a sprint, it gives a VO2 effort, and it gives a threshold effort as well, and that's how it was deliberately conceived.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Now, we are, of course, in Continental month. It is Continental Thursday. We've got to say a massive thank you to all of the commercial guys who look after the riders. They are there, and those Chaingang supporters who donate for a month, who put the hands in the pockets, they bankroll the whole thing, and without it, it just wouldn't happen. And they've really been instrumental, haven't they, in keeping the Chaingang going, Emma?
Yeah, they have indeed, and those giveaways have been fast and furious, really, haven't they, in terms of who's been picking those up and where they've been going. But it's been fabulous to see those giveaways go throughout the DCG gang community.
It has. Well, let's turn our attention to tonight's ride, and let's head over and let's take a look. We are going to dive in on to the map now. Our yellow beacon is Russ Downing, the Fonzie himself. You can see the course out on the left-hand side. Just talk us through this course, Emma.
Yeah, so tonight's course has got a lead-in of just 200 metres, and then it's one lap of Climbers Gambit, and that lap is 27.8 kilometres in length. So a total distance tonight of 28 kilometres. But don't let that put you off or anything. It may look short, but it is epic, and that epic climb at the end is 6.3 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 5.9%. But there are some downhills and some flat sections in there, so much steeper segments we will see.
And Russ going to be leading out, really experienced rider, of course, multi-time national champion, and of course the instigator of the Donny Chaingang online. So I think he's going to have his work cut out, because it is quite a brutal start. We come out, we climb pretty much straight away in towards the S's, and then a climb up that very first archway. Let's go take a look at the man, though, who's going to be mopping up anybody at the back. He's driving the bus for the very first time. Welcome on board, your new bus driver. It is Chris Canham. And normally people get pictures of them on the bike. I have to say, Chris, they were sadly lacking. And when I saw this picture, I couldn't resist, because I thought this represented what most people will look like at the end of the epic climb.
Or it is what most people will look like after half an hour on the party bus.
Yeah, one or both, or all three, to be fair. So we'll see how Chris gets on with that. It is one of the hardest tasks on the gang, but it's also one of the most rewarding. And I've got to say a massive thank you to Chris and all of the gang. And Chris, enjoy on the way through. It is going to be enjoyable. Now, we're going to go take a look at the hills that Chris is going to be trying to sweep his way up. Hope that bus has got a low gear, because if we move from our Zwift Hacks map across to the Velo Viewer profile, so It's quite confusing like this, isn't it, Emma? This is the 3D version
It is.
of the map. And you can see with all those wiggles, basically we wiggle our way round the islands and then we go on to this dirty great climate. But it doesn't give us much information. So let's drop into the 2D version. Of course, you can get these on Velo Viewer as well. Drop on today, get a subscription in, and you can get even more detail. And this gives us a better indication, doesn't it? So running through there, Emma, we've got some key moments. We've got 5 to 5.5k in. We've got the climb up the standard KOM.
Yeah, we have indeed.
Then we go on to Titan's Grove, which is ascending from 7 kilometres right the way through to just under 13k. The measured climb actually is only from about 11.5 to 13k, though, isn't it? So it's quite a short section of what is a longer climb.
It is indeed.
And then drop down and the big climb itself. And you can see there that final climb up to the Epic, those sawtooth profile, that is the sections you were talking about where it drops down.
Yeah, they're right. It's a real stepped climb. It is not a consistent, steady climb. So it is about modulating and knowing the climb in terms of when you put that attack in, because it is not just a sit down and time trial climb.
It's not, and those sections you can use that momentum quite a lot to get back on, and we'll probably be talking about that as we go in. But of course, the initial section here, we've got to remember, at some point, we're going to have that go, go, go. The group needs to try and stay together as long as possible, because otherwise it's going to fracture people a long way behind early.
And that's going to be really tricky to start with on this course, because you're going to come out the start pens and you come into that S's section, which is rolling. It is not a flat start, and it's going to be really tricky to keep that group together, and everyone is really going to have to hang around that yellow beacon tonight to ensure that that group stays together through those early kilometres.
Well, let's see where they're going to be, going. I think, personally, this is one of the toughest courses to control. We're just heading into our 30 seconds to go market. And Emma, this is where things get really interesting, isn't it? Because this is where we see the riders really starting to wind it up and to give it some beans and to really push onwards.
Well, you do racing, but here, obviously, we want everyone to leave at around 2 watts per kilo to keep the group together. So we don't really want a race effort off of the start line. You know, race efforts on Zwift are full out maximum. And tonight, that's not what we want.
So our riders are away. Let's jump in with the riders. Let's hit the ride proper and dive in with those riders, leaving the start line and heading out. And then we'll just drop in with Ryan Williams. So we're in with Ryan as he makes his way out and away. And I'm hoping that we've got a good shot, hopefully with the camera somewhere up in the air, of those riders coming out from the pens. I love the fact that it says enjoy your ride as they head out to Climbers Gambit. That's not necessarily going to be the case, is it?
Oh, I don't know. I quite like this course, but then I'm a bit weird.
Yeah. Just better be careful, actually. Something gets thrown from one side of the studio to the other. So our riders just starting to make their way out onto the course. We're going to keep an eye on them. Chris Canham, and this is the man who's charged with those red beacon duties. And nice to see, getting fully into the role with the red jersey and the red cap as well.
Yeah, and look at that colour coordination. There's red socks there as well. And I think that's a good job done there in that kit.
It is. It's looking good now. Just looks like we've got Ryan Williams just a little bit further back, just making his way up here. We've got to remind people, if you do get distanced substantially, you either need to have some serious pace and power, or you need to jump out and jump back in, and that late start is good for that, isn't it, Emma?
It is. So you've got 30 minutes to deal with your late start. Now, whether that's you coming home late from work or just not getting on the bike quick enough for that start, you've got that 30-minute window and you can jump on. Also, really useful if you have a technical issue early on, or you just have problems off the start because you're late logging in. You know, that ability to drop out and then come back in, choose Zwift and rejoin the event will put you straight into the middle of that bunch, as long as you are pedalling when you click that join group button.
Indeed. Now I read Beacon is going to go and look to drag the guys back in again and move the way up. I'm loving the fact that they're asking people if they want to get their anvil. One man who's not going to need much help at the back but doing a good job here is a certain Mr. Mazzoni, who was so near on Tuesday. We're going to have to talk about it at some point. because it was one of those cracking sprints. So if you don't want to hear about what happened on Tuesday because you've not watched it yet, switch off the audio now for about 5 minutes. Tuesday night, what an absolute flyer. And I've got to say, coming in, I wasn't certain who was going to get that. I was jumping about all over the place, thinking, oh, who should we go with? Who should we go with? Who are we going to roll with here? Who's going to take this out? And Isaac Oliver's attack early. Jimmy Allen put a long one in. Then it was Isaac Oliver. And then it just was one after the other. Mason went. Mazzoni went over the top of him. But Tom Lindley,
Oh, timing was to perfection. That sprint is really long, actually, and it's really challenging to get your timing right. You know, often those riders who go early aren't the ones who cross the line first, because it is a seriously longer run-in than you think to that rock arch. But Lindley, his timing was to perfection.
It was indeed, and we got Mason on the screen now. He gave it everything, and he's usually a man who gets that sprint absolutely right. But I think it showed that it really disrupted the way the gang were able to sprint in by the way that they rode that. Because those early attacks, Jimmy Allen, Isaac Oliver going hard, then CMS, it really messed up that sprint, and they couldn't unleash when they wanted to, and it allowed Lindley, who's not a pure sprinter, let's face it, to roll over the top of a pro, scalp to pro on
the wheel,
GCG.
sit on the wheel, sit on the wheel.
Yeah, very definitely going to be one to remember and have a look back. And, of course, the Reel's doing the social media feeds. You can probably get it on the Full Speed Events one, I'd imagine, Emma.
Yeah, you can indeed. Or I think certain Mr. Lindley himself was very swift off the mark, putting it on his social media profile. I
think I would as well if it was me. If that was me, I'd have been all over it. Oh, definitely. Right. Let's jump in. Russ is buried in here somewhere. I'm trying to work my way through to him, but he's moving about quite quickly in this group at the moment. So the group on the way through. Let's see how they are going to run on the way through here. Just in with Russ Senior at the moment, and that doesn't mean that's the older version of Mr. Downing. So the gang on its way and moving the way round towards the bridge and the sprint, heading down the run alongside the Italian villas. And you can just see we're in with Senior at the moment on this big descent. Great shots these from Zwift. Really love it when that camera angle pops in like that.
Yeah, but take a look at what that downhill section does to that pack mat up on the right-hand top corner of your screen. It's created a blob into a snake.
It has indeed, and you can see it on that 3D map, and on the run through here, it was all the way across, and it is now one long thin line coming through, but lots of confetti coming down as people get new fastest times, just rolling through as well.
Yeah, it is indeed, and rolling through still all together, which is really good. So a little bit of a stretch there, but no breakaways or gaps in that group, just one long line.
And one rider who we know should be figuring strongly today could well be right in the running. And that is a certain Joe Blackburn. Joe, of course, regular winner, if not constant winner on the WOW DCG, in on the group all the way into that sprint and was contesting that final sprint on Tuesday. Are we going to see her go better today on this climb? Well,
I think this could suit her really well, and she didn't ride the WOW DCG last night, so I think she could go well today.
Well, we will see as these riders come in and through. Joe currently ticking along 113 beats per minute, but some great views as the riders come up along. They're going to go alongside that waterfall at the moment, so these riders 3.5k in to the ride at the minute, and that looks like making the way up here. So I'm loving Darren Lindsay's comment there. Are you?
It's a recovery ride. Yeah. It's a flat ride on a Thursday.
Yeah, it's going to be really slow and steady and easy. See Mr. Booker and Ryan Williams yo-yoing about at the back. Chris Canham. Chris, don't wait for him, mate.
No, don't. Those two are both capable of sorting themselves out.
Yeah, Booker and Williams are absolutely both top first class and will go back on at about 2,000 watts per kilo. They need no help at all.
Well, I'd let them tow him back on.
Yes. Yeah, jump
Put
on
Greg
their wheel,
on
Chris. Yeah, definitely. I would not be giving them a hand. They are absolutely more than capable. Guys, if you are going to jump back and you are watching live, please remember, tell the red beacon so that they can save their energy for those who need it, not for fast riders just going for a yo-yo. That's a new phrase going off the back and then jumping
What,
back
going
on the
for a
front.
yo-yo?
It's going for a yo-yo.
I quite like that idea.
Yeah, it's going for a yo-yo. So basically, they're deliberately dropping down and coming back up to the bunch, dropping down, coming back up to the bunch. Or in my case, dropping down and knocking it and falling all over the floor because I can't yo-yo for diddly. Right, taking a left-hand turn. I'm going to take a right-hand turn. We're just coming up adjacent to the bridge that we were on. We're going to get our drone cam up in the air. We'll see if my flying is as good as the guys on the World Championship. Great article, actually, about the drone pilot. From the Worlds and what he does. He actually tracks motocross riders as well. He's absolutely super proper drone pilot. I tell you, none of this mucking about with one in your backyard. It is really incredible, and it's a custom built rig as well with a custom built camera, stripped down camera built in, so it's an absolute top quality TV production camera as well.
So I can tell what you've been doing today.
I was sat on the bike riding around doing some homework.
Yeah.
I was putting the rides in, so make sure you give me a follow. It's on Strava. It's on there. Don't believe all the numbers that you read. They may not all be true. Mostly because we've discovered that I can't sit on a solid turbo training without being injured for about a week after. So I need to be on something that rocks and moves side to side, or quite often jump on the rollers and practice my balance.
Yeah, indeed.
Right. Here we go. Riders on the climb. Making the way up, Mr. Booker just off the back, doing a yo-yo again. There you go. So here we go, on to the first of the KOMs. And this is the reverse KOM. Basically, we come off from the base down directly below the Epic, which is right behind us actually there. That is the top of the Epic. You can just see over their shoulders with the tower up on the top. And that sort of horizontal slash in the snow line, that is where we're going to end up tonight. That's the very top of the climb. There you go. Your tourist guide for the night is going to be me.
Yeah. And this group
abetted by Emma.
Well, that's it, isn't it? But this group are just about to take this right-hand turn, and you know what happens on this right-hand turn.
I fall off the back of the group normally.
You would do indeed, because
Thanks.
boy does it kick up in front. Well, now saying that, actually, Matt, it's quite a short climb and you'd be absolutely fine because you'd just get out the saddle and leave everybody. But it does indeed kick here, and you can see just a little bit of a stretch here going on, and one or two riders off the back there, because this does kick indeed just on this corner here, and you can see 10% at the moment. But it's not long, and very soon it will be flat.
Yeah, and you can see those numbers ticking up top right-hand side of your screen. That's a key indicator for that percentage as the riders come up, around, over the top and through. And that is where we're looking for. So looking very, very good as we come through that group. Not really fracturing on the way through. We got our helicopter up. I'm going to try to get a view of the back of this group, but it's easier said than done at the moment. And it looks like pretty much most people, it looks like Mr. Robertson is going to be with Mark Grant just squeezing on here, and they'll have a chance to get on here if they don't get distance too much.
Well,
this is a nasty little kicker early on, isn't it?
It is, and you know what? They need to be really careful now, because this group are going to take this bend and they are going to drop downhill. And unfortunately, unless Grant and Robertson kick on now and actually really push on those pedals, they are not going to make the back of the group, and that is going to go away from them on the downhill segment.
And that is purely because of the dynamics of hitting a downhill. Your speed picks up, the distance opens up, and with two riders versus that bunch, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful on that segment. If you've got a bit of a gap coming up that little climb, it's almost like you need to sprint to get back onto the group. Once you're back onto the group, you're absolutely fine. But as you can see, exactly what has happened here, the group have rolled away at fast speed on the descent, and because the two riders were gapped behind, they are now further from the back of that group than they were.
Yeah, you can see it is motoring, and you can just see at the moment Chris is going to try and go and help them to get back on while he is being distanced. SR68 as well. Carl Johnson, and I would imagine, to be honest, we're going to see a bus form before we get to the top of the Titans Grove, and that is a sensible move tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed, because again, those sections through Titans Grove are quite rolling as well, and keeping the group together there is a little bit like an elongated or exaggerated S's section. So it does cause problems and challenges. But this group were fantastic tonight, Matt. They rolled out of that start gate and they went through those S's, and that group kept together. So credit to absolutely everybody on the gang tonight. That's 100 people through those S's with no problems, and it's just that small transition from the steep climb to the descent that's just caused this small red bus to form.
And we're at 7k, remember? 7 out of 28k. It's not like it's 7 out of 70, it's 7 out of 28k. It's relatively short, and I think if Chris and Dave Robertson and Mark Grant work together, this is a really well-matched bunch, actually, these three. We know they've all got some serious sprint power. They're all really good riders, and I think if they can work together, this could be one of our best buses in the gang, because it started early. They're now on a mission. So keep that bus rolling together. Don't lose anybody and get to that finish line. Going to be really good to see.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have company and a fourth rider join that group very, very shortly. And you're right, if this group work together, they can be rolling through at a good, steady pace, and they won't be too far behind,
No, not at all. And you can just see Wildy at the moment, just about to see this group come up towards him. And this is about jumping in, making sure that you get in with that gang. We are seeing one or two people just dropping out and dropping back in again. But key here is to jump in with the group and try and get a roll with that bus. I'm loving the comment from Mr. Woodward. Easy complimenting Chris. He's got to work with him all for the rest of the week.
I know. Every time I read a comment, I want to burst out laughing, and I'm trying desperately not to.
No, you can do this. It's a Chaingang. We're all friends. It's
fine.
Okay.
That's fine then.
It's fine. It's not the BBC, Thank goodness. Be in trouble already. So we're going to let the gang at the back sort themselves out a little bit and just see where they are at the moment. We're going to take a little bit of a run up towards the main bunch. Let's have a drop in with the one and only Russ Down. In the Fonzie Down, he's been out on Scotland routes. He's got some more coming up. You can find the details of that on the Facebook page. And Russ with some more rides on the Scottish routes. Not all that long before he's going to be on there. And any plans for the Wild DCG to head there, Emma?
Oh, I might have a look. I've not done the March routes yet, so we might head into March. I've got to do a bit of recceing myself because the ZRL there is on Tuesday night heading to Scotland for the first time, and as in my DS role, I need to know where I'm taking them.
Yeah, you're going to be over to DS and see how that rolls. So let's see how they go now. The riders on the way up and through, just coming into Titans Grove. You can just see making the way in through the twists and turns here, and the gang still moving at a fair old pace here. We're starting to see one or two riders distance quite quickly, but no surprises on this route with that. But this coming through the current the Hot Springs section. You can see them sweeping round, and I think if we get our drone camera on, you're going to get a really good view of the riders making their way in around. Great scenery here. Absolutely love this part of the world.
Yeah, I agree.
One of my favourite parts. I could come out with a very controversial statement here and say my initial impressions of Scotland are it's not Scottish. I spent a lot of time in Scotland. It was not that part of Scotland that I went to.
I have to say, I was quite surprised that the tartan jersey is not red tartan.
Well, why would it be red?
I don't know, but I just assumed tartan would be red.
Really? That's probably some very sweeping stereotype.
I know.
You just
Don't ask me why.
Down there.
But
There's bound to be a tartan expert on the gang.
There probably is, but when I first heard that there was going to be a tartan jersey, for some reason in my head, I assumed that it would be red, maybe green and navy based, but it's not at all.
I'm loving John Garfort's comment. No rain, Matt. There was mist whilst I was there, but gotta say, it wasn't in there. Was I expecting train spotting, Matt? No, I was expecting mountains everywhere and nice scenery and roads and the same kind of colours. But I've been there right the way through, from winter to summer. I've climbed, I've fallen off mountains there. Now I've been in a helicopter there. It wasn't me being rescued, I hasten to add. I've done mountain bike events there. The colour palette, for me, doesn't match. The palette of the world doesn't go in right.
It's not grey enough.
No, Scotland's really colourful, but
I know
it's
it is.
more
That's very
orange.
true.
It's more orangey, and it's a bit all grey and light greeny, and a bit. Do you know what it reminded me of? Top of that Von Top
Ah.
on the where you go up past them. So yeah, it wasn't my best. Not the best first impression. But then again, maybe I'm old school because I love Watopia, and that's World 1. Getting old.
Well, maybe you just like an original.
Yeah, I do. Speaking of old originals, Jimmy Mack's on the ride tonight. Do you know that? Do you like that link? That was a quick link in, wasn't it? Jimmy Mack on here, getting older, but it's just as quick, just as fast. Also lost a bucket load of weight, and is seriously quick on the gang.
Well,
watch out. Jimmy Mack and I have shared a van before now. It was a very entertaining conversation we had in the van. Can't remember much of it, but then again, it was very entertaining.
you've shared a van with a lot of people, though.
That is true. It's not really like the greatest praise in the world.
In
for
fact,
me,
there's
is it?
probably a number of people on this gang tonight you've shared a van with, not just one.
Oh, now you're asking. That's a good question. The ones that I'm going to admit to or not. That's probably.
Maybe we should move on rather swiftly and focus on bike choice this evening.
That sounds like a good idea. Come on then. Send us on a mission.
Well, I think it will completely depend on what it is you are targeting tonight, because if you are targeting that climb at the end, you want a really lightweight machine.
So Isaac Oliver, here we go. He's on lightweight wheels, courtesy of climbing the Alp, and just make him out on that orange bike. I'm trying to get into the middle there. There we are. Just about getting a camera shot of his wheels. So full on lightweight wheels, lightweight bike, not very aero though.
Yeah. You
So-
see, at this time, this first section, though, on this course is absolutely classic for the DCG. No one's going for a sprint, so you don't need a fast machine. No one's going for the section up Titan's Grove. Everybody is really awaiting that release for the final climb. So I would be picking an exceptionally lightweight climbing machine tonight.
You and me both. And it needs to have a very light set of hoops on as well. So a set of really shallow rims. One man who knows his wheels. It is Josh Mayland, of course, from Halo. Josh on the gang tonight. Let's see how he's rolling. Keeping a little bit of a check on some of our regulars. Let's see who's going to be going well. Emsley is riding really well, Sam, recently. And let's see what Sam's riding on. I'm going to try and find him, pick him out in here. Oh, look at this. You see, he's gone lightweight as well. There's Sam Emsley. And Sam's going, he knows his kit, so going to be really interesting. Just have a little bit of a check in and through as we just head down past the dinosaurs. You can just hear them in the background just about. We can on our headsets anyway.
Yeah, it's a very strange noise when it comes up on your ear in the headset. It doesn't sound very dinosaur.
Sounds like a cow being milked.
A cow being... It definitely sounds like a cow mooing. I'm not sure about a cow being milked.
Yeah, no. They're not. It's not. Anyone who thinks that a milking parlour's quiet, then you can go talk to a certain Mary Wilkinson. She'll tell you. She's got a farm. She must have dairy stock. She's not just.
Mary does sheep, darling.
Not just sheep. I know where a farm is. It's got cows on it. I'm sure it has. Anyway, never mind talking about Pro Riders Farms. But yeah, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like sort of, like one cow in a milking parlour, which is very rare because it's usually a few. Right, coming up, taking the left-hand turn here, you can see it really is stringing this group out. So things are already starting to get a bit grippy. Things already starting, and we're just hitting the actual time section for the climb here, and it shows you just how long it is. But ominously, and it is ominously, look what's right in front of us. That is the epic KOM in front of our riders. Their finish arch, it actually is on that horizontal directly behind the pinnacle of rock. That is the finish today, right at the top there. So we are going to drop off the top, down the hill, into the tunnels, out of the tunnels, left turn, up.
Yeah, and the first section of that climb is really quite a steep section as well. It doesn't give you a gentle, gradual way in. It really does hit you quite early on, and it just keeps coming at you at the beginning of that climb.
It does indeed, and you can see it already starting to string out. I'm wondering whether we're going to see an early pull of the trigger by Russ, because I think that would be a very good move at this stage. I'm going for an early one, and do you know one of the reasons why? Because I think if you pull it early on this course, you're going to have people working where they're not expecting to work.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I remember when we did this on the WoW DCG, we didn't pull the pin until we hit the bridge on the climb. So the early part of the climb, we kept it all together and then we let it go. And you know what? It wasn't quite a 20-minute effort to the top. And I kicked myself because I really wanted everyone to get a 20-minute workout at the end.
Well, and that means to get that 20-minute power workout and to get those threshold powers coming through, that it's got to go before you hit the climb then, I guess.
Yeah, so for the WOW DCG, we would definitely have needed to go just about on the run into the climb to get everybody in that group to have a 20-minute workout. And I left it a little late because I was probably thinking more everybody rather than the front of the pack.
But let's see tonight, because on the Donny Chaingang, that's maybe would need to go on the run out of the tunnels.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what our yellow jersey this evening wants to do and wants to get out of the pulling of the pin. And that was just my target for that women's event that day.
And of course, it's all in the hands of our yellow beacons. The yellow beacon chooses what, where, when and how they're going to let this go. They're the guys in the ride. They know how it feels. They've got the experience. That's why we always try and make sure we've got really experienced riders in the yellow and riders who know it inside out. Jimmy, Alan, of course, assisting Russ in those duties. Not had too much to do recently. Russ has been home quite a lot. I don't think Jimmy's sad about that, though, to be fair. Because it's a tough job being a beacon. That is for certain. A massive thank you to everybody who's doing it. We will see. So, yeah, it could well be an FTP test for everybody tonight. Dale Williams in his characteristic light blue jersey. Here's a question for you, Emma. You come in and you're riding along now. You haven't got a lightweight bike. When do you change to a lightweight bike? When would you actually do it? On the steep part of the slope?
If you wanted to change to the lightweight bike?
Yeah. Because I would, given the length of this climb.
You've got to be able to stop the bike before you can actually go into the garage to change it.
So not doing it on a downhill.
So you can't do it on a downhill at all. You actually want to do it on a section that is slightly uphill, so your speed is low before you stop. Because what you don't want, what you don't want to be doing is stopping whilst the pack are at a fast pace. And if you can do a quick bike change and then you can sprint to get back onto the group, you want to be doing it on the very lowest slopes of that climb.
So on the very lowest slopes of the climb. And that is going to be quick. We'll be going that fast on the uphill. Aero will win, not a chance. It is worth so much time on this climb.
Yeah, but you're better off, to be honest, you're better off taking those disc wheels off and putting some lightweight wheels on rather than changing frame.
Yeah, because that would be make the biggest difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's actually, wheels make a bigger difference than frame on the way through. So putting lightweight wheels on. And you can stop the bike super quick, can't you?
You can. You can drop it in. You're going to ask me how now. You can drop it into the pairing screen, come out of the pairing screen, and then drop straight into the garage. Going into the pairing screen is the thing that stops your bike quicker than waiting for it to come to a roll. So
go in, hit, pair, then you can go straight into your garage, then out. Fantastic. There you go. That's all they're getting. Not giving you any more clues than that. Right. Just taking a little bit of a look. Looking for our red beacon. Here he is. Good man. Looks like Curran and Robertson on the bus. Just taking a little bit of a run back. They're just coming up to the top of Titans. You can just see the ski station in the background behind them here. So looks like the bus sort of formed and rolling well. Looks like Gary just on that run down. Little group formed here behind. And you can see already riders getting into groups and forming packs here, Emma, on this run down. So it's absolutely fractured to pieces already.
Yeah, it has indeed, isn't it? And that pace at the front and rolling through these through Titans Grove has indeed caused some breaks. But it is nice to see those groups forming early, Matt, and the fact that they are quite large groups. So those, riders are not going to be in 2s and 3s. Riders are going to be in 5s, 6s, 7s going into the bottom of that climb.
And having that support, that motivation is key.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? It's one of those things, isn't it? You can roll into a climb with that group and people are going to come backwards as well. So now is the time to ride your own ride and just see what happens.
So lots of little groups forming behind the main pack. You can just see this group are doing a good job here, actually, because they're not that far off. Steve Cannon in here, Matt Woodward, Fiona Kestevan, Looks like Chris James. Sean Ferrer's not all that far behind. Rossinia's in this little group here. And if we take a little bit of a spin round, if I can find the yellow beacon there, make everybody dizzy on the way through. Looking good as they come through. Oh, it's got some Scottish mist appeared, or is it Watopian mist? There you go. Right, coming around, going to be taking that right-hand turn. And these little roller coasters are actually quite grippy, aren't they?
Yeah, they are indeed, and how you ride them is really interesting too.
Go on.
Well, I was going to say,
do elaborate.
Well, in terms of, are you just utilising cadence to get up and down and to stay in the pack, or are you actually trying to work through your gears, and how are you actually looking at riding those rollers?
That could be interesting to see how our riders get on. I'm just going to try and get a number of riders in this group. It's always an entertaining moment in the Matt's trying to hit the keys. I reckon it'll be 69 when it does sort itself out. We'll soon find out, but I'm reckoning pretty confident 69 riders in the leading group still. Up there, it'll just take a little bit of sorting itself out, but that is still a substantial amount. That's still, what, 2/3 of the ride?
It is indeed. It means there's exactly 30 riders not in the group.
There you go, which is out of 99. Going to be tough stuff. Right, and the chase back on was brutal. 500 watts. Yep, there's going to be some serious chasing. And this is one of the things, isn't it? It takes the sting out of a lot of people's legs just having to chase back on this route.
Yeah, it does, because the pack is moving really fast. I mean, this pack at the moment are moving around 50 kph. A single rider trying to catch back on is a really difficult job, and you've really got to be able to put out sustained high power to make that catch.
Yep, definitely. And I think staying in the group, absolutely key. No weaving about, mate. That's not going to help your cause, Mr. Gilmore.
Yeah, 11k to go right now, so only 11k left.
Indeed. Saw Matt Gilmore's new team just been popped up, and Matt, congratulations on your new team. It's looking good. Going to be interesting to see how he gets on racing in the on the road this year. Tom Lindley's just jumped on. There you go. Dodge all the inside bits.
I hope he's warmed up.
I'll tell you something. If he hasn't, he's going to find this is a rude awakening. And he can't count for the win, technically, according to Russ. Although I'm not quite sure how that works, because we don't really have many rules, but we'll see. So, on the descent down, this is the run across in towards the tunnel. So, this is where the riders are really starting to wind up 56 kph. This is going to be very entertaining indeed. Good to see our riggers in here. David Cass in there. Raccoon, which is Andy Watson. John Wild from Velo Viewer in on board. He picks his routes to John to join us, I tell you. He's come in and he's on one of the tough days today. On Climbers Gambit, John looks like this in real life. When John was riding in the urban crosses around the Kellam Island, John looked just like this, but he was in red and black, and he was very quick. He was fast then. He's not changed, has he, really? Still looks the same, and he's still blooming quick.
The same.
He does, yeah, at the front, going fast. So, looking good. Oh, so let's have a little look at the riders coming down. Going to take a turn, got to do a right turn first, then drop down, then take a left-hand turn, and then come back up out of the tunnels. Now, let's take a check. 30 minutes in. Bam, ba-da-dum, bam, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, da-da-dum. This is going to be very entertaining.
Yeah, so Lindley is using this as his warm-up to racing, eh?
Yeah, that's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess once you get on that, you can push on, you know. And the go has gone. It is go time. This is it. That's the moment. He's gone on the downhill as well. And that means this group is going to be the group contest in the finish. Lindley, well, he's right in the back of this group at the moment, and they have got to move fast. You can't afford to get dropped here, and Lindley, I think, is not going to have his legs warmed up for the go coming in. In fact, he's going backwards at a rate of knots, and I'm not surprised. Daft to chase this, surely, with no warm-up.
Yeah, well, I think he's just joined for the banter, because if he's racing in a little bit of a warm-up and some banter is a good way to get involved.
It is. I'm loving Chris Canham. Okay, let's turn this minibus into a big bus. It's going to be by the time he gets to the top, mate. Don't you worry. There's a lot of people dropping back. So, Riders just getting scattered and spread out here at the back. The pressure on Josh Mayland at the moment, actually, to get back on here. He's right on the back. Let's see. He's pushing at the moment at 1.3. I think Josh's legs just feeling this now. Proper Scottish weather with John Garfoot just on the back. He's getting his wish. You mentioned the rain, John. That'll teach you. I don't know, getting caught in a shower at the back of this group. And looks like Sadler, Sir Rodney in the danger zone, Bobby Mason in the danger zone here. You know, it is going to be very, very interesting. Can they stay? They've got to keep on pushing.
Yeah, and it's telling you how fast that pack is now moving, isn't it? With these riders getting caught out and just dropping off the back. Nice to see them starting to come together, though, and start to form some groups on the road.
Yep, certainly looking good. We're on to the climb. We're going to come out. So currently persisting it down on the way up and over. So not only are we going to go ahead onto a big climb, but it's actually raining. It could mean that it snows on the top of the climb. That's always entertaining. I like it when it snows in Zwift.
Does it actually snow in Zwift?
Yeah, I've done the tunnel climbs through the epics in them before, where it's actually been snowing on the sides.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, somehow I've never actually managed that.
It must have just been the server I popped for that. It's a long time ago. Don't get me wrong. It might have been eliminated by now. Showing my age and how long I've been on here. Well, that wasn't the drop of a Watt bomb. That was the thunder and lightning at the moment.
Well, and I think the thunder and lightning are here because it is going to be an absolute cracker of a climb.
Oh, let's see. Here, will it be the thunder flash or will it be a damp squib when they go on to the climb? Will this be properly electric? Or will it be more like my van battery after being left out in the cold for the last week? Here we go. Harry Hudson tucked in here. We're going to try and take a little bit of a run up. I'll tell you something. The only good thing about this is you can only just make out the climb in front. We're about to hit the steep section, that very first section. If somebody had a ghost now, they'd be gone.
Well, you just can't see it, can you? You just don't know what's coming.
Well, the man at the front is currently going to be Mr. Speed, who has opened the gap at the moment.
Yeah, but I've seen Joe Blackburn in there as well, covering the front, you know, Matt. She's sat nicely in there and just waiting for the climb and the action. Well,
that would be my option at the moment. So the rider's just coming across the bridge. This is the run into the climb. We've gone past the flying boat and the seaplane. I've explained the differences many times, so I'm not doing it again. It's very simple. Flying boat and seaplanes are two very different things. They both float, but that's about the same. The only thing that keeps them together, and they both fly, I suppose. Right, Speed onto the climb. Here we go. You can just see the group coming behind, the spray coming off the wheels here. Great camera shot. Absolutely love this. Jimmy Allen, anyone for an ice cream? Yes, please. Send it over, Jimmy.
The ice cream van is at the top.
Oh, that's mean.
It's motivation to get up there.
Well, there's ice cream at the top of any climb. I'll get up that climb. Great camera shot looking, but absolutely loving this as the riders come round the first of these steep turns. At the moment, Speed has got the gap from the Cycling Academy. One of Jimmy Allen's young chargers, this is. Doing it by stealth.
Yeah, well, just, slowly riding away. So currently 4 seconds on the group behind and been doing it by just holding a consistent pace. So holding that pace just under or just over 6 watts per kilo. So just holding it nice and steady and still with that 4 second gap.
And look at this. So you've got Jake Speed, Ryan Williams, Foggy. We know both those two can climb. You've got Isaac Oliver, who is A, super quick, B, super aggressive. You got John Wild, who just is like the Peter. He's like, it's just like, you know, the Peter. He never gets old. Like, you know, he's just ageless. Just keeps on riding with these guys. Dave Cash, you know, GB level rider. You got Jimmy Mark, ex-national champion, God knows how many times. Chopin's in here, always in at the mix, always going to be battling. You got Tom Mazzoni there, the first loser from Tuesday. You've got Harry Hudson in as well. Dan Coleman, regular winner. You've got Joe Blackburn and Blato in here. Blackburn, of course, the fastest female rider on the Chaingang repeatedly at the moment since the departure of Killer Skinner. We were hoping for a rematch between Killer Skinner, Charlotte the Machine Goldclough, and, of course, Joe Blackburn.
Oh, and Sammy Stewart.
Oh,
we need to line that up for the last one in March.
There you go. That's your mission. Last WOW DCG, Blackburn, Skinner,
Stewart, Goldclough.
Wow. Yeah, say no more.
I shall think of a route already.
One that levels up the playing field between all those different abilities. A bit like Chaingang, really. There you go. Right, onto the climb, onto the bridge. Great shot of the architecture. You can see behind the sculpture of the bike rider. That is the KOM, the standard KOM, which was the first big climb of the day today. So we've gone over the KOM there. We've then gone over Titans, and we are now heading in towards the top of the climb. However, the gaps are opening here. Russ currently just behind this group. Greg Booker's still chasing here. Tom Mazzoni currently sits in third place. Speed, however, is speedy by name and speedy by nature.
Look at that gap. It is just continuing to tick up and go out. So we're now looking at a 5-second gap back to Foggy, but it is 10, 11 seconds back when you look at the main group behind you now.
It is. So, Speed in 1, Foggy in 2 at 4 seconds. Oliver in 3 at 6, now 7 seconds with company of Williams and Mazzoni. Then it's going to be Jimmy Mac Blated along with Coleman Wild chopping. These riders continue to try and push, and it is a good-sized group there that's coming up behind. They could make that work on any of those downhill sections. That would be a good advantage, but they're not that long, are they?
No, it's not that long, and they've still got 4.7k of this climb to ride, so it's still a long way to go.
So they've still got 5k to go, guys. No pressure. 3.5 miles to the top of the hill, and it's almost all uphill. Don't want to depress anybody, but it's a long way yet.
But there's an ice cream van waiting at the top.
There's a whole host of ice cream all laid over the sides, aka snow. So Jimmy Mac at the moment, Jimmy is absolutely flying. I'm not sure. This diet Jimmy's been on, I tell you something, maybe I need to go on the same diet that Jimmy's been doing. It's just super lean and mean. Had a dietitian been doing some advice. Makes a big difference. Diet's die with T on the end of it.
I've never really thought about it like that, ever.
Yeah, it is, it's true. I have, regularly, every time somebody shows me a celery stick. Right. So let's take a little bit of a check further down. Matt Gilmore, regular winner on the DCG, at 13th position at the moment. Cass just in front. Russ just pushing here. You can just see the power coming out from those fast ups. Currently sitting in 16th position, just coming up on Phil Oliver. Then it's Joe Blackburn, then Dave Cass, Matt Gilmore, Chubbin, Hudson, Coleman, Wild, Blato. Then it's going to be Jimmy Mac. This is that descent. Let's track Jimmy down here. There's a big group behind him. And if you carry that momentum on and through, they can't get that tracking shot. We'll have to go side on. That's brutal, isn't it? Look at the climb there as you look sideways.
9% under those wheels.
Yep, and he's on an aero frame, but relatively aero wheels, not all that lightweight, and he might pay for that actually. He's coming up to the top there. They're relatively light, but they're not as light as a set of lightweights.
No, but it depends on what the riders are on around. You know, because whilst the bike and the wheels do make a difference, and they make a substantial difference on some of the climbs. You know, when you change to a gravel bike from a road bike, some of the climbs it can be 8, 9, 10 seconds, which can be many places. You know, some of the climbs in Makuri can be even more than that. Look at those lightweight wheels. Perfect setup tonight there. Yep.
On a Dogma, got the aero frame, which would have kept him in the business, but going lightweight, still continuing to hold. The power to weight. Foggy has gone for the all-rounder option. Matt's most detested bike on Zwift.com ever. The Zwift Concept 1, a.k.a. the Trod, a.k.a. the lazy person's bike.
Well, you know, it is a bit of an all-rounder, but sporting the fabulous pink that matches the AEO kit beautifully.
Yeah.
But he's not an AEO rider.
No, you don't have any blokes in there.
No, women's only squad.
I don't know. Ryan Williams next. Ryan currently riding on lightweight, but not the full lightweights. Interestingly, I think it's going to be Isaac Oliver. It's going to be the first rider that's got proper lightweight wheels on. There you go. As in the full carbon fibre hand-built beasties. Looking very good at the moment, actually, on those.
Well, I'll tell you who is looking very good at the moment. Speed's now got a gap of 24 seconds on third. So still only 4 seconds back to second place. But look, 25 seconds on third.
Yeah, absolutely rocking this thing up here. And Jimmy Allen will be shouting him onwards. But that gap to Foggy that we've seen people blow before now. When you think about how far up the slope he is, you can just see that on the graphic top right-hand side of your screen. You can see the mountain descent. And currently only just over halfway up this climb, just coming up here. And you can blow chunks. You can lose minutes on the top
You
of this
can,
thing.
and my natural inclination there was to look straight at his heart rate. But you know what? Speed's not got his heart rate monitor on, not on the sensor. Cannot pick it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm like? I like to take a nosy at people's heart rates.
And you can't do it with Foggy either.
Try and work out where they blow. But
All right.
look at them, 1, 2, 3, no heart rate data
Yeah,
set.
well,
we can't tell
we
how
do
hard
use
they're
it
working.
to track people, and yeah, it'd be very interesting. So, Isaac Oliver, look at that heart rate. You bet you're jealous of that.
Look at that, 202. Well, I get to 183 and I've blown.
You've blown a long way before 183. 183
I can
is a
get
detritus as it all
183 for 2
explodes.
seconds as I'm on the way down.
Just on that lag. as it just keeps pushing.
202, look at that.
204 I just saw off him, actually. It was the very first one. Tommy Zoni's an old fella, so his is probably only just ticking, let's face it. Then we got Harry Hudson, another of our youngsters, 186 in there. John Wild, what's John's? 166, there you go. John is a slightly more mature rider. I tell you what, he's aged like a fine wine. Look at that, lightweight wheels as well. Then it's Jimmy Matt. What's Jimmy doing? 180. Do you know what? For an old fella, Jimmy's doing well. Jimmy must be, that's got to be close to Jimmy's limit. 178, 180 beats per minute. Jimmy's not young.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily relate. You do,
Yeah,
people
I
do have
know.
low heart rates and are quite young. People do have high heart rates and are quite old. My sister, who is coming up to a
50.
yes, can still get a heart rate very close to 200.
Yeah, she can, but that's because she's got, she weighs about as much as a sparrow.
When wet.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Is that when she's eaten one lettuce leaf or two? Right, on to the climb.
Yeah, look at that. It's kicking to 13%
Nasty
at the
little bit,
moment.
this.
We said, didn't we? It's an average gradient of 5.9%, but it really, really kicks in places.
Definitely looking very, very tough on this climb.
They've got Tizer on the bus.
Yeah, you see, you don't get that on the WoW DCG. You just
Not
get
had
Cape and
Tizer
Jim.
in years.
Right, here we go. On to the next section of descent with Jake Speed. This is opening the gap again, so you can see that time just opening out. The distance will be opening out behind him. Absolutely rocketing along here, and time is running out for the chasers behind to close that gap down. Let's take a look at where Foggy is. Foggy's on that same section of descent. Now, it might just be me. Doesn't look to be going just not got that same oomph on the way through, but look at the revs. Interestingly, just sitting at 80 revs at the minute for Speed. Foggy's at 91. Ryan Williams, I've just seen some big numbers from Ryan, just pushing up over the top. He knows how to do
He's having
this.
a little break at the moment. Micro rest.
Yep, good move. Just sit there, just take that little bit of a rest. It's not steep enough to go into super tuck, and he's been out anviled there.
Oh, look at
sneaky
that.
move. Love that. Put it in on that little bit of a descent there. That was some
That
going.
was to show you how to utilise momentum on a climb.
And it doesn't affect you on the way up. It doesn't.
No, it
it's not.
doesn't.
It's got no negative value on it. And look at the gap.
Yep.
Look at that gap to Ryan Williams. That was 5 seconds, and that was done with an anvil on the climbers. Gilmore just done exactly the same thing. We'll see. He's just come over the top. That is very interesting on the way down here. Using that anvil to great effect. Just seen John Wild diving down here as well. Speed is on the climb, so let's go backwards here. We've got Speed. He's 2 corners off the top at the moment, 2 major corners. Then we've got Foggy chasing behind. You can see he's still getting in front. Then it's Isaac Oliver, who went flying through with that anvil. He's also got Foggy in his sights. Then it's Ryan Williams, who's closer to Oliver than Oliver is to Foggy. Then it's Mazzoni, who's even closer still. Then a little bit more of a gap back to Harry Hudson, who has got right behind him a train of riders,
Look
as
at
you
that.
can see. So that's John Wild, Matt Gilmore. It's going to be Noah Bleto. So Noah, not all that far. Then it's Jimmy Mack, Joe Blackburn. It's going to be Simon Choppin, Joe House. Then it's Russ Downing. Then Dan Coleman. Then David Cass. Then it's going to be Philip Oliver. Then Simon Runnett. Then it's going to be Ted Tunnicliffe, Rob Vardy, Rich Starkey. Then it's going to be Dan Hepton, Dale Williams. Then it's going to be Sam Taylor. And rounding out the top 25, it's going to be Keith Richardson. Wow. What a lineup. And I'll tell you something, it's really separating these riders out.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Look at that in the top right-hand corner of your screen. Those purple dots were all over the climb.
Well, Jake Speed, one of our young Scottish riders, making his way on here If he's as young as his avatar picture is, he's still not shaving, so he's going to be going even quicker because of the aerodynamics. But the thing that's propelling him along at that pace, it is currently a fantastic power to weight ratio. He's continuing to kick out that wattage. He is climbing strongly. And as you look at the map at the top now, you can see he's got a slight right chicane, a 90 left, and then he's going to weave his way in. And the top is basically flat, isn't it?
It is. There is a very deceptive false flat on the top of here because that, and very unexpected because you hit these really, really steep segments. Look at that, 10% at the moment. And then all of a sudden, actually, it's a flat run-in. Now, making the most of that flat run-in if you can. If you're coming up quite close to riders, you can really take the sting out of their legs and come flying past them because most people are not expecting an attack on that flat section.
Well, I don't think Jake needs to worry about the attack. Foggy is the nearest rider, but one rider who will, well, it's Ryan Williams because he is currently alongside, and we can't use one of our cameras. It's got an absolute fault at the moment. It gives us a shot of the Alpine Lodge. Great, thanks. Whoever sighted that camera there, getting shooting, I tell you. So it's Isaac Oliver and Ryan Williams on this section of climb, both together, both youngsters, relatively. They're not 13 anymore, neither of them. But I tell you something, they're both quick and really, really interesting to see. So you've got the beast and rider Williams, and you've got Yomp Bonk crew Oliver on here. They're both ahead of the pro. That is Tom Mazzoni. Tom a little bit further back, St. Piran rider. Then it's Harry Hudson. Then it's Matt Gilmore, but they are nearly a minute behind Jake Speed, who's about to crest the top here.
Yeah, it is indeed. And those steep sections, the percentage gradient is about to start coming down, and those wheels are about to start to roll even faster as he's got 500 metres to the finish line.
So 500 metres to the finish line for Jake Speed. Speed is going to be speedy by name and speedy by nature. Been waiting to say that all climb long. Here he comes. It is the run for the line. It is completely flat along here. You'll see the archway coming. It's actually a little bit of a drop in to it as you go over the top here. And it is going to be Jake Speed who's going to come through to take the win here today. He rolls in and through. Jake Speed of the Cycling Academy comes through at the top of the climb. Number one in and through. Great riding as he goes in and through. Now, apologies, but because we have the ride finishing at the top of the climb, we are going to have to drop back every time we follow a rider through the finish line right the way back to the start of the ride. And that's because we don't have an overrun tonight. People often ask us, why do you have the overrun on the end of the climb?
Well,
and that is so that we can actually cover you as you go through. Just back in time. Foggy in second place goes through. Unfortunately, we didn't get back fast enough from Foggy either, so get out of the way. So Foggy in second place as he came in and through the line there. We're going to work our way back up. We're going to try and catch the sprint, and I'm going to hope it's going to be a sprint between these two. This is going to be between Williams here, who's kicking. So it's Williams who's going to come into the line. I think he's going to make it first. It's going to be Ryan Williams. He's going to take third place. Then it's going to be Isaac Oliver. So it's Williams in third. It's Isaac Oliver going to come to the line in fourth place. It's going to be a fifth place for Tom Mazzoni. Yeah. So Mazzoni through there. He's going to be our next rider coming in to the line.
Well, as you say that, Matt, but Hudson is on his wheel, and Hudson started to kick at 7.78 watts per kilo. Mazzoni is going to have to kick hard at 12 to actually go with it. Who's going to take this? Hudson's gone at 11. I think Hudson's going to take this, but can Mazzoni come round to take this sprint?
Oh,
and
he's got him!
Hey!
So next up going to be Gilmore. So it's Mazzoni from Hudson.
Yeah, it is indeed. So Gilmore is pushing on, but the chase is now started behind because we've got two riders coming in behind Gilmore. So Gilmore is going to come through. We are going to see a sprint for the next position. So we're going to see a sprint for 8th and 9th.
So here we go. John Wild goes over the top. Then it's going to be Bleeter who's trying to get back to him. It's going to be close, but I think Wild is going to have this. It is indeed. Then it's Bleeter coming through. We're going to have to take a drop back down the hillside again. Apologies to whoever's coming up the hill next. We're going to get back to you as fast as we can. So at the moment, just in with Sean Ferron. And I think we've probably just missed Joe Blackburn coming in and through the line. We're going to take a little look. I think we have. So, Joe, apologies. Joe Blackburn coming through as the fastest female rider. This is the issues when we don't have that overrun. Then it's going to be Joe House.
Yeah, and chasing House is Downing. So Downing, our yellow beacon, is going to come over the line in 14th today before we see our Chef Wreck rider coming in. Look at the cadence there, 145 RPM going through there at the moment.
Yeah, Dave Cass has got seriously speed going. Has he locked in first gear, do you think?
It looks like it. He's little chain ring and he's absolutely spinning high cadence. My God, my legs can't go that fast.
No, I tell you, proper hamster wheel stuff there as Tunnicliffe is chasing behind him. Then it's going to be Dan Coleman. So Coleman, slightly different rev per minute there.
Yeah, look at that. Completely the opposite there. We're just starting to wind up and hit 80, but at that steep section we had a 54 RPM. So now sitting comfortably at 90 as Coleman comes in and through. About to come towards that banner. 3 seconds behind is Oliver. So Oliver chasing hard, and Oliver going to be the next rider in after Coleman. Then we're going to jump back, and Simon Runnett is the rider coming in to round out the top 20 tonight.
So Simon Runnett in 20th place, and it's going to be Starkey who's going to come through. Richard Starkey is going to be 21st place. Then it'll be Rob Varty who comes through in 22nd, I think it will be when it resets itself on the way through.
Williams is going to come in next, and oh, now that is a smart jersey there, riding through the snow and towards that banner. Richardson is behind, Taylor further back.
So Richardson's going to come through in 23rd place. It's going to be a 24th place for Taylor. Mason hauling his carcass over the top of the summit. Hey, if Liggett can say it about Iris Poli, who was a Tour de France stage winner, Mason is in good company. It's not an insult.
Well, we've got Jimmy Allen coming up behind, about 7 seconds behind.
He's not going to out-sprint Mason, is he? Come on.
No, not indeed. So Jimmy Allen coming in behind.
I love the fact he's inherited the beacon, because the beacon
Russ
went out. Yeah, because he went under the banner. The moment he went under it, he'll have gone onto Jimmy.
And it's Kerry coming through for 27th. Hepton 3 seconds back. So riders coming in thick and fast now as Hepton comes over the line. Sharp and Montgomery are the next riders behind, with Booth in there as well. So riders really coming through quickly, one after the other at the moment.
Yeah, so Montgomery is in and through. We're going to try and get down back with our riders. Apologies if we are not in with you as you cross the line. This is just due to the nature of the course and the ending of the ride. Bang on the finishing line. We're going to try and get in with our riders a little bit further, just in with Ruth Taylor actually up on the climb, but we're going to try and get onto that summit plateau. I think we can just about catch Dave Fulton before he goes through the line. Dave, another of our regular riders, makes his way through the summit. Then it's going to be Hind, who has company with Sam Emsley there, and Paul Mallon is not all that far behind now. Apologies if we don't cover you going in and through the line in the glories of your sprint. As you time it to perfection, rolling right on the white line, but we can't afford to go through, otherwise we end up missing riders who are just behind.
Yeah, and look at these two kicking for this line. So it's Hind kicking at 8 watts per kilo. Emsley's got the lead at the moment, but Hind is continuing. Oh, look how close that was at the end there.
Yep. I'm glad you watched it. I'm trying to hit the buttons fast enough.
Malin and Clark roll through, and then we hit back, and we've got Holmes coming in with Martin here. These riders are coming through together, so good strong climbing here to create some sprint finishes. And who's thinking about a sprint finish at the end of that climb?
Oh, always. Always, always, always. It's a chain gang. You've got to give it something on that last little kick. Oh, it's going to go right to the line, and it's going to have to come out. So if you're just waiting for that punchline moment of hitting the line, we can't show you that, unfortunately, tonight.
Yeah, so Forrester's the next rider looking to come in. Bags is 1 second behind. So Bags probably, I don't think, is going to make the catch, but he's giving it a darn good try at 6 watts per kilo. Forrester's noted and is winding it up, but has he wound it up early enough? Bags is really kicking at 6.9 now. Absolutely adamant he wants to take that from Forrester. Is he going to do it? No! Forrester goes through first.
Right, Chris Ball, our next rider, heading for the line, who is coming in. Good to see Chris on the gang. He's just ahead of Conroy. Conroy's going to come through in, I think it'll be 42nd position. Then it's going to be Wilson. Wilson in a private battle here with Dick Samall. Dick currently 12 seconds back, so it's going to be 43rd for Wilson. Then it's going to be Dick Samall. He's got company, but they are about 12 seconds behind. I think that could be a little bit close to the next 3 positions.
Yeah, indeed. So looking a little bit further down that list, we've got some fast finishes set up after that climb with riders really close together. But Broom here kicking, and Broom here is kicking really hard. Obviously, he just wants the sprint through that line. Sees a line, got to sprint.
Sounds familiar. Next up, Pearson, just ahead of Bannister. So got the little bit of a gap. You can see Bannister behind Pearson, not taking any chances, just putting in a little bit of a dig as he's going to roll into that -1%, just carry that momentum and that speed through. Then it's going to be Bannister who's going to come through behind. Then it's going to be Steve Wilson.
Yeah,
it will be when I get to him.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Apologies, Steve.
Yep, so it is indeed Wilson there putting in a strong power effort to stay clear with the second rider 4 seconds behind. So it will indeed be Garford rounding out the top 50.
Yep, Royal Navy, Royal Marine Cycling Association rider, regular red beacon. Then it's going to be Gale heading into the line. He's just ahead of Mick Clark. So it's going to be Gale, then Clark in that order at the moment. Clark's going to hit that line. Then it is going to be Craig coming in. Just going to be Craig on the way to the line. Then Sir Rodney on his way in.
Yeah.
Just ahead there, I think that's going to be Darren Toplish or Ian Bale. Ian Bale, look at that.
Yeah, but look at Rodney having to put that power down because Bale's sitting at 6.5 watts per kilo.
And he's got the aero.
He has indeed. So Rodney is pushing on and he's in the danger because Bale is coming fast to the line, but he's not going to make it.
He's not now. Andy Keyworth is just coming through in a good ride by Andy here today. Going to be 55th position as he comes into the line. He's going to come in ahead of the Stellaton rider. That's going to be Neil Morn. So Neil with a little bit of a gap to Fiona Kestevan. Fiona on her way in to the line at the moment. And just taking a look, Foggy's the fastest time shown on the screens up that climb. Overall, Joe Blackburn, the fastest female rider. Fiona's going to have the second fastest time up here today. But that further in, just going up over the top, going to come through just ahead of Bailey from Chefrec.
Yeah, indeed. So Bailey is going to be our next rider through. A little bit further back behind. McDermott is still tapping away strongly, coming towards that line. The chase is on, I think, behind because we've got some closer riders coming in behind.
So Rich Langmead, then it's going to be Russ Senior, and I think they're going to go through in that order. Then it's going to be Ruth Taylor. Ruth will be our next female finisher. Top 3 today for Ruth on the way back, and comeback queen.
Yeah, really nice to see Ruth back riding and riding strongly.
Yep, nice lightweight rig as well.
Yeah, good choice.
So Bobby Mason on his way into the line. Bobby, of course, one of our regular riders on Chaingang. Going slightly more aero today. We'll have paid a little bit of a price for that on the climb, but it does allow you to stay in that group longer if you know that your crunch moment is likely to come on the run in or in the early stages of the go. It does pay sometimes to have that aero.
Yeah, it does. And you know, earlier on we were talking about what bike do you want, and we were saying it depends on what you want to get out of it. You know, if your aim is to stay in the bunch, pick a fast bike, because you want the fast bike to keep you in the bunch on the flatter sections and the early sections. If you want to climb the hill fast, you pick a lightweight bike because you want to put in the effort at the end, and you don't have to. You haven't got to worry about staying in the bunch. That's not where you are likely to be dropped. So different bikes for different purposes.
Indeed. So Steve Cannon just chasing Chris Sadler on the way in to the line. Behind him is going to be Oz on his way, not all that far behind. He's got a gap to Jackson, who's at 8 seconds. Then it is much closer, and this is going to be between Turner and a certain Mr. Lindley, who's shadowing him at the moment.
Yeah, it is indeed. Lindley is shadowing him, but Lindley's had a steady ride and a warm-up for the race that's coming next for him. Is he going to make this a sprint effort to the line, though, just to round off his warm-up?
Well, Turner has got the green outfit and the pop-eyed forearms of a proper sprinter there. And I think this could be a little bit more difficult than maybe Lindley thinks, because Turner, I think, has measured his effort as Lindley just comes behind him. You can see the difference in the power there, but good climbing by both riders. As Turner starts to wind this up, he's now up at 4.6.
And Lindley's got a 13-14 watts. 14 watts per kilo, 15 watts per kilo coming out of Lindley, finishing off his warm-up with a nice high effort to get his legs fresh and ready for that race.
Yeah, you got to feel sorry for Turner there coming in through the line. Then it's going to be Sean Ferran immediately behind.
Yeah, it is indeed. And a little way further back, we've got a sprint for the line winding up between Woodward and Lindsay as well. So just looking back down that road as Ferran comes in, Woodward is there indeed behind.
Yeah, so Woodward on his way up to the top of the climb, just that run down to the line. Should be able to stay clear of Lindsay, who is currently going to be 7 seconds down at the moment. So Woodward not all that far away from the line. Nice 1980s headband, mate.
Yeah, but look at the colour coordination with the Canyon. Orange headband, orange frame.
Yeah, I wonder whether he managed to get that
Needs
frame
some
on time
orange
with
socks.
no price increases. I don't know. Right, so Lindsay on his way in. You can just see making his way behind Woodward. Then it's going to be Wiley, who's up onto the climb, just ahead of Chris Lowe. So we've got a slight gap coming up here, Emma. So the riders just coming up in towards the summit here. And we've seen some cracking riding, haven't we? That was an interesting finish, though. You could just see power to weight ratio is key.
Yeah, absolutely. And that decision to hold a constant pace and to go before the climb as well was absolutely key. That gap was starting to be established on the run into that climb, and that gap just grew and grew and grew, and that was just consistent riding and steady state riding.
Yep, nicely done on his way in. Wildy's on his way up on to the summit at the moment, and this last section here, it's just about holding it, isn't it, onto the flat? Yeah,
it is indeed. But what it's been really good to see, you know, those little sprint efforts, those digs and those kicks, and those still wanting to get up and over the rider in front, even after that climb.
Yep, definitely. And you can just see the climb leveling out. So let's drop back in with Wildy as we come up on to the top section here. Our camera just going to drop itself in with him. Let's get that drone down in with Wildy. So Wildy up on to the level. You can just see that road disappearing off behind. So we take a look. And that banner just comes into sight. It's a little hidden, isn't it, as you go over the top?
It is. You know, actually you can see this about 500 metres out, but you've got to know exactly what you're looking for, because it's not particularly obvious, because that blue does not stand out from that grey and white of the rock and snow.
It definitely doesn't. Well, if yesterday's banner on the WOW DCG was Jaffa Cake orange, I'm not sure what colour blue this is coming in through here. Maybe a cold penguin blue.
Are cold penguins blue?
Don't know. Go ask one. Right, there you go. Today's random statement of the day. Go ask a penguin. Ask them if when they get cold they go blue. Somebody will tell us. Right. Lowe's going to be our next rider up in to line. So Chris at the moment up on to the summit. Going to be making his way in towards the line. Nice, still fresh enough to roll those legs up to a nice cadence going over the top. Always a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Nice cadence, steady heart rate as well. So Lowe really nicely just rounding out the ride today.
So Lowe's going to be our next rider in to the finish, and I'm sure rolling all the way down to the bottom to collect all of those points. Remember, it is drops points up for grabs on the way round.
And that is, of course, one of the joys of this route, is that your recovery after the effort is all the way downhill.
Well, sort of. You can roll the... You do actually have to pedal on the uphills if you're not careful, though.
Well, you know, you do actually have to spin your legs to get the lactic acid out of them. You don't just sit stationary on the bike to do that.
That is very true. So Hobson at the moment on the upper slopes. Then it is going to be Tim from Dyson Cycles. Timnasium, like it. From Dyson Cycles. I don't actually know who this is. And SL68. 100 kph, Emma, though, on that downhill. You can top 100 kph on the downhill down here. Can be done.
Now that would be good, wouldn't it?
It is good.
I don't know. I've never got to that speed.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
I
Done it in real
obviously
life
don't
as
try
well.
hard. The only time I actually nearly got to that speed was when Jimmy Allen put the go, go, go on the descent.
Yeah, Chris Callum saying he can at his weight. It does make a difference. I must admit, when I did it, I was probably about 75 kilos rather than the full-on 80, 85 kilos. I was pretty light at that time, but I had a good sprint at that point. But,
Yeah, but not being funny, the amount of power you can put out max versus the amount of power I put out max are two very different numbers.
Yeah, one's a 4-digit and one's a 3-digit.
Exactly.
There is a slight difference. Yeah, definitely. But I think it's about whether you need to. It's not the smartest move when you're racing, that's for sure. But it is good fun on the way down there. And it's probably a lot safer than doing it down Rhino's Pass.
That's very true.
Well, it's got 70 mile an hour going off the end of Hard Knot. That was scary as. That was the scariest thing I think I've done on a bike when I was younger.
Well, rather you than me.
Yeah, 20 mil tyres and, single pivot brakes at the time. That shows you how long ago it was. There was no stopping, that's for sure. That was pretty grim. Pretty grim. Right, so Hobson up near the top. Then it is Gymnasium SR68, Ben Cokin, Mr. Grant, Chris Canham. Letting him have a little bit of a head start here because he's going to be coming at the top. Chris has a proper sprint on him.
Does he? So he's going to utilise that flat section at the front to rush onto the back of the two riders in front.
Look at Chris. Chris is not a racing snake.
No, he's a strong sprinter by the look of it.
He's a proper power sprinter. I'd love the comment from Mark Grant, like watching the Teutonic plate moving away from you. Very timely as well, but yeah, maybe I shouldn't say that. Bit soon. So the riders on their way up the slope. Hobson, hopefully, if I can click the right buttons on this screen, going to be, he's over the top. Here we go, he's on that run in.
And if Hobson looks up, we'll see that blue banner. If he squints really hard in the distance there. So the blue banner of the finish of this climb coming up in 300 metres for Hobson now.
Yeah, you can just see that run in as he makes his way in towards the line. Good climbing here by Jake. So well done, Jake.
Yeah,
Gets to the top.
Putting a little bit more power on those pedals to make that line come faster. Fabulous effort to see. Up, 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 up.
There we go. Big sprint in for the finish. Hobson's going to go through then. It is going to be Gymnasium, who is going to be our next rider. That was timing for you. Just managed to get him in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Gymnasium on his way in. He's going to come kicking into the line. He's going to be our next rider in and through. Then it's going to be SR68. Whew, just about made it back in time.
Yeah, and still on that climbing section, but just coming up to where that gradient starts to level off. You know, that transition from 70 RPM to 90 RPM coming very, very quickly.
I'll tell you something, it's an evil climb. It really, really hurts. I bet he felt that.
Oh, that last section, which is just so steep. The first part is steep and the last part is seriously steep.
Emma's that just went right over your head, that
it
pun,
didn't it?
You've not worked out quite why he felt that quite so much.
No.
What about
Oh, very funny. Honestly.
I was testing your observancy skill. You can tell.
I just wasn't even thinking you were that smart.
That was probably because I could spell felt. No, probably not at the end of this climb. I do well to see the handlebars, if I'm brutally honest. So SL68 making his way up on to the top of the climb, and going to be our next rider in. Then it's going to be Ben Cokin. So Ben, at the moment, is the lead out of our three riders on the climb. It's Ben Cokin, Mark Grant, and Chris Canham. And if you don't think you can see Mark Grant, you can actually see his front wheel. It's the yellow thing.
Oh, yeah. He's like absolute bob on drafting.
Yeah. That's like hiding in the slipstream hiding in the slipstream. I'm waiting to see if he appears.
And you know what? If he wasn't on a Tron bike, you wouldn't even know he was there.
No, that's another downside of a Tron bike. If you're in a race and you're attacking, it's more visible and it's easier to be seen and spotted if you go clear.
There you go.
Crit City tip. don't ride a Tron bike because you can get round the way around those corners. And if you use a grey bike, you are less easy to see. If you're grey kit, grey bike, black disc, no multicolour, you can actually blend into the grey cityscape much easier and you can get away easier.
Yeah. There's a riding tip for everybody.
Yeah.
Or should I say a racing tip?
So definitely a racing tip. You don't want to be grey and
no. You want to be bright and
inconspicuous.
colourful when you're riding.
Just like the Tactic Women's Race Kit. I haven't done any plugs for their race kit yet. The best race kit.
No, but you haven't stopped talking about it since you first saw it.
No, I know. It looks good. For somebody who has no style and lives in black jeans, black t-shirt, black work shirts, yeah, exactly. You know, it's bright, it's colourful. It's just like not like me. I'm all black and dirty. Right, go on. Should we take a look at Mark?
Yeah, indeed. So Mark is indeed tapping away there. Look at that. And just not quite now coming up and half wheeling. In fact, I think he's going to push on a little bit there. Look at that little bit of effort coming.
He's going to have the advantage on this slope because, of course, lightweight frame, lightweight wheels versus the Zwift concept bike in a sprint. Zwift concept bike should win that. Bearing in mind, you've still got to get to that point at the same point in time.
But are Cokin and Grant actually going to fight this out for the finishing line, or are they just going to continue the camaraderie that they've established on this climb and stay together?
This is the Donny Chaingang. Of course they're going to sprint.
Yeah, you say that as
mean?
Grant goes at 4.3 watts per
Come
kilo. He's sat
on.
back a little bit now.
This is going to come to a sprint. Ben Cokin and Mark Grant have ridden this ride so many times together. I mean, they're great riders. It's great to have them on the Chaingang time and time again. And this could be almost Van Aert and Van der Poel-esque because you've got two riders who know each other inside out. They're ridden on here regularly. You can just see nobody's kicking yet. That gantry is in sight. It's not that far away. Look, you can see it's here. Who is going to go? Are they going to go have a
they've
false?
got 300 metres.
No, here you go. No.
10 watts per kilo from Grant. No response from Coking.
I think that is indicative of whose legs have got anything left. Well, Mark Grant is going to get this sprint to the line. Then it's going to be Ben Cokin who's going to come through. He's going to hit it, and then it will be our red beacon. It's going to be Chris Canham, and Chris comes in and through. Great riding by Chris as he comes down on to the descent. Massive thank you to Chris for being our red beacon here today. Emma, that was a cracking ride. Some big efforts. And do you know what? I thought it wasn't too tough. It was definitely better doing that than doing anything like, for example, Von Top, which is boring as sin.
Oh, it's definitely not too tough. I think that course is great because there's a little bit of something for everybody, and it's an absolutely fantastic course and a fantastic run and makes a great chain gang. You know, it has all the elements of what you would like. Staying as a group together, the camaraderie of the climb, finding a red bus, climbing in groups, moving through and sprinting each other for the line at the top.
I quite agree. Quite agree. Great to see. And, of course, we're going to be back next week. In the meantime, you're commentating on Sunday on the Sunday Race Club, so eSports Cycling. You can follow Emma for all of those details and, of course, full speed events. Emma, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at Biking Emma on Instagram or Emma Martin on Facebook.
So make sure you catch up with Emma. Emma, a pleasure as always, and we'll catch up with you soon, I'm sure, on the Chaingang.
Yeah, will do indeed.
So that means it just means for me, leaves me to say, don't forget, guys, this is only possible. The whole ride, getting you on board, getting Russ to sort out the routes, making sure that everything goes where it should do, looking after our riders who have to take. It only happens because we have the support of those amazing riders who donate on the DCG gang, on the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. They are looked after by all of the companies you can see just over there. Without them, we can't make this happen. So a massive thank you to OTE, to Gritty, Halo, Velaskin, Nonners, 1080, and of course, our title team this time around. That is Continental. Don't forget, keep your eyes out if you're a member. There is a giveaway coming. It's top secret. I can't tell you what it is. Emma doesn't know for a reason because she'd give the game away because she's even rubbish at telling you when the go happens. Never mind saying it in the show. Never mind anything else. So we are not able to tell you. I'm not allowed to do it. I've kept slightly bigger secrets than that, but not much. So please remember, guys, keep yourself safe out there. Join if you can. And remember, we'll be back on Tuesday with the next Donny Chaingang. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.